Thank you so much everyone for coming today. So we've got Liesl Tesh, who is the local Member of Parliament for Gosford. We've got Lee Shearer, who is the Coast Shelter CEO, and Coast Shelter manages homeless shelters and refuges in the area.
That's correct, yes.
And we've got Coast Shelter caseworker Deb Sorensen, who has Frontline experience here on the Central Coast. We've got Central Coast Domestic Violence Committee Vice Chair Sharon Walsh. What is the scale of the problem here on the Central Coast?
From our perspective, the caseload since 2021 has 3 times the caseload for our caseworkers. And at the moment, for us, we were reaching 70%, or say 2 in 3, that were coming to us back in 2021. It's now completely flipped, where we're only reaching 1 in 3 for support.
So on the ground, it just means we're pretty much always at capacity. So there's only a few of us. We're a small DV team. We cover a large LGA area, and we're just flat out all the time.
And how does it feel for you as a caseworker when you can't help those people because you just don't have the resources?
Yeah, well that's probably the most sort of depressing aspect of our work, is that there are so many women out there who would benefit from our assistance, but yeah, we just can't help everyone.
Deb, can I ask you, what are some of the most common barriers that you see women facing when they try to leave a domestic violence relationship?
It's somewhere to go. It's that's our main issue. So if we haven't got space, and as we were saying, we're always at capacity, it's somewhere to go. And if in the absence of anywhere to go, they're likely to go back to an unsafe situation with perpetrators. So it's and often we're actually begging, literally, we're begging housing on the phone. Can they please accommodate this woman? Yeah, it's somewhere to go is the main thing. So if there was more spaces in shelters or an easier access to emergency accommodation, some of those barriers coming down would go a long way to at least removing the potential for her and her children to go back to an unsafe situation.
And women who want to leave, they know this. They know the sector is not resourced properly. So, you know, why step out the door? Combined with the fact that when you try to leave or have left is when your life is most at risk. And women know this. So desperate to stay alive and keep their kids the best they can safe.
Keep their kids alive too.
Yes, they choose, because they have no choice, they have no options.
They choose this choice.
Yeah, that's the only choice they can make.
Yeah, so you've got a housing crisis here where affordable housing isn't available, and you've got a service that provides emergency shelter for these women who are fleeing violence that is significantly under-resourced and can only help a third of them. So what can the government do in the short term to fix this problem, and what are you going to be advocating for?
This is a time for change. We've had the National Cabinet and we've got a State Cabinet meeting having discussion about it. The budget doesn't come out till later in the year, so there's actually no budget sitting to wrap around because there's no other money in the pot that you can just find at this point in time. But there's real emphasis, and we know that this is not the only case where services are underfunded. And I know that I've been through domestic violence, I've been a survivor of domestic violence, family and domestic violence, and I know my colleagues in the Parliament have also spoken on Hansard about their experiences when we put through the coercive control legislation. So I think having women sitting at the table making decisions about the future of something that harms women more than it does men is going to be a game changer.
Of course, we understand from politicians that there routinely isn't the money for the front line, and that's a tragedy because that is actually putting women's lives at risk.
I want each of you to say what you would do with an endless pot of funding to address this issue. Start with you. Build
safe housing, for women and families.
Yeah, similarly, safe, affordable housing, just across the board. And then primary prevention, a genuine commitment on the part of governments and educators to primary prevention, to challenging toxic masculinity, and having a real good go at challenging that power and control that exists, that puts women at risk.
How does it feel from your perspective as a Member of Parliament, hearing this and thinking of the challenge ahead, which is dealing with this problem?
Absolutely. As a woman in the Parliament, my heart and my head is open to what's happening in a place that I think it hasn't been open like it is right at this point in time. We've got Chris Minns, we've got a female deputy in Prue Carr who said everything is on the table, and I think this is at a tipping point. It's quite exciting. It's horrible for Molly Ticehurst that we're now having a conversation that we didn't have with this degree of passion across Australia. But we're having this conversation in a way we've never had it before, and I just think it's an amazing opportunity. The next budget coming up is going to have a significant amount of pressure on it, but I think the voices of the sector are really, really appreciated, and they are at the table with us as government saying, hey, things have to change.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Really nice to meet you.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thanks for coming again.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Leah.
Lovely to meet you in person.
This is so lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.